And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Frank Tomaino is our guest. Frank, of course, continues to write his column, his history column for the Observer-Dispatch. He's very active in the activities up at the United County History Center, and he is author of History, just for the fun of it, a great book about the history of Utica. Alfred Munson, Theodore Faxton were a couple of the people involved with bringing textile manufacturing to Utica, Frank, and there was a reason that textiles manufacturing got a hold here. What were the reasons?
Well, really, Butterfield too was involved in that. In the 1840s, the textile mills in this area were losing business to the textile mills in New England. New England had converted to steam. We're talking 1839, 1840, and was producing a better cloth, better quality, faster and cheaper. The mills were closing or laying off people in this area. And I think we've talked about this before. This area, we sent 3 men to New England to check the mills out there. Was it feasible for the mills in the Utica area to convert to steam, which would cost a little money, so on and so forth. The 3 men came back, and their recommendation, convert to steam, you'll make money. Well, this would cost money to convert to steam. Faxton, Butterfield, Munson, a couple of others were the ones who said, okay, we'll do it. And they began converting the mills they owned and also building new steam-operated mills, cotton and woolen. And it was the beginning, you're talking 1845, 46, the beginning of the textile era in this area. And as it grew and grew and grew, by 1900, Utica was the knit goods capital of the world, producing more knit goods than any other area, including England and some of the other areas that we, Scotland, that also had textile mills. And I think there were in this area alone, I think at one time 19,000 men and women working just in the textile mills in this area.
And you get an idea of how big it was, Frank, just by driving around Utica and seeing all those mill buildings that still exist. They've been converted to other things.
Yeah, not only Globe Woolen, which I think is where the Boilermaker ends, but along Broad Street in Utica, you have the Oneida at the foot of Kossuth Ave, and if you go on Kossuth Ave and drive to Broad, you look up in the building, there it is, Oneida. Yeah. O-N-E-I-T-A, not Oneida. And then the old Mohawk Mills, which is now part of Trenton Technology, and then the old Shenandoah, which is further east on Broad Street. Those buildings are still up, and most of them are occupied by different groups.
I just did a hidden history recently, Frank, where we talked about the textile mills in Utica, and the Anita Knit, where you see that on the facade of the building. Oh, yeah. It's right where Kossuth comes in.
If you run on Kossuth Ave, you go right in the front door of the Oneida.
Yeah, and that was, I guess, the office building, the headquarters building, and you can see it up there. But then, back in the 60s and 70s, you had General Electric in those buildings, 901 Broad.
I think, the light military electronics department was still on French Road, but it was growing so fast, they expanded to 1001 Broad. I think it was 1001 or 800.
Yeah, they had one in 800 and they had one in 9-something.
Okay.
I think it was 901 Broad.
Yeah.
Right over by, right next to Oneida.
Yeah.
Right there. That's how you get into the building.
So those buildings, as I say, are still in use, and they're old, but they must have been well built.
Yeah.
I was in Trenton Technology a few years ago. Al Mazzalone is a great supporter of the United County History Center, and he took me on a tour. And boy, from the outside, you go along Broad Street, you see that old building, but you go into Trenton Technology, and wow, it's like you're in the 21st century. Yeah.
And the other one that we didn't really talk too much about is occupied today by Brodock Press.
Oh yeah, the old, if I'm not mistaken, it was Faxton who built the old Utica Steam woolen or cotton mill at Court and
State,
right, yeah. Yeah, that mill, I remember years ago when on the bottom floor, after the mills moved out, there was a bargain center.
State Street Mill.
Yeah, State Street Mill. And when I went to Utica College, when we were on Oneida Square, I played on the varsity baseball team there, and we didn't have any place to practice, you know, and so Syracuse University had bought that building, and we were on the second floor practicing, running, you know, and I remember one afternoon we were practicing, a bunch of us, and the owner of the State Street Mill came upstairs. I guess we were running, and the dust from the ceiling was going on the customers, and yeah.
I never played varsity college baseball, but I played a little league. I played for State Street Mill. They sponsored
Is that
our
right?
team,
Okay, yeah.
And we're not going to have time to get into it today, but maybe next time when you come back, because there was a real impact when all those textile factories went out. They went south.
Well, and just about 100 years later, 1945, 1845, right after World War II, a lot of the mills decided to move south. And this is, we've talked about before, were a group of men, there were no women at that time, and this group that met every afternoon at the Fort Schuyler Club and were able to attract General Motors, Bendix Aviation, Mohawk Airlines. So we went from a mill town to a light electronics town. Yeah. And it got a lot of publicity, Fortune magazine, Wall Street Journal. So Utica.
And it got that nickname, Loom to Boom.
Who
coined that? Do you know, Frank? Who?
You know, I heard some, Carl, I want to say, not Switzer. He was a PR man for some company. Legend has it that he came up with forgetting his last name, Carl, starts with an S.
Oh? Was it Schweitzer?
Maybe it was Schweitzer.
Think about it for next time when you come back.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah.
And thanks, everybody. We'll do it all again next week. Until then, take care of yourself.